Let's go to Tim Scott. Mm, 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 let's just play the clip of Tim Scott, Senator Tim Scott, who was appointed by Governor Nikki Haley, former governor of South Carolina, back in 2013. Uh, Senator Tim Scott, who calls on his blackness when it's convenient. Senator Tim Scott will be the first person to say, I'm black just like you. I've been stopped by police. But then he'll say figuratively, but I'm not like you lazy, shiftless, other folks. It didn't really affect me in that way. Senator Tim Scott, who will call on his faith, who will call on his Christianity, because it's clearly a bait to white evangelicals. Uh, Senator Tim Scott, who once said that Trump isn't racist, he's just racially insensitive. So the Republican Party propped him up to give the rebuttal to Joe Biden's speech. And here's the clip that has a lot of people talking. Senator Tim Scott. And mind you, a few minutes before, he talked about being called the N-word and being called Uncle Tom. But he wants you to know this is not a racist country. Listen to this.
Today, kids are being taught that the color of their skin defines them again. And if they look a certain way, they're an oppressor. From colleges to corporations to our culture, people are making money and gaining power by pretending we haven't made any progress at all, by doubling down on the divisions we've worked so hard to heal. You know this stuff is wrong. Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country. It's backwards to fight discrimination with different types of discrimination. And it's wrong to try to use our painful past to dishonestly shut down debates in the present.
Senator Tim Scott is the political version of I'm not black, I'm OJ. That's basically who he is. And I want to be clear about this is really important to me. He said America is not a racist country. But let's be clear. President Joe Biden has never said that. He actually got heat.
Biden certainly hasn't said it. Yeah,
he hasn't said anything like that, David. He got heat during the election cycle for not being more explicit about race. Let's go even further because the New York Times did a full story on this in January of 2020, asking the remaining presidential candidates, is America a racist country? None of them said it. Not even Senator Elizabeth Warren. She didn't say it was a racist country. Right. Who is uber liberal. Andrew Yang said it wasn't a racist country. Michael Bloomberg said it wasn't a racist country. There isn't one sitting Democratic senator who has said this is a racist country. So Tim Scott is literally putting this dig at Joe Biden. It's a lie. Joe Biden has said nothing like that. Does Joe Biden want to address systemic racism? Absolutely. Does he believe it exists? Absolutely. Joe Biden said that Trump was our first racist president. Like, I don't know who he thinks is in office right now,
right?
But I mean, even Secretary Julian Castro did not say this is a racist country, and that was my guy. So here is Tim Scott really pulling a Southern strategy stunt, really using tactics to play on racial fears. Like he's the one using the race card for all the ways that Republicans, right. For all the ways that Republicans say, stop using the race card, stop using the race card. He's the one using it because he is aligning himself with power. He wants to make sure he's reelected in South Carolina. I think he has presidential aspirations.
Yep.
So he is doing an old school stunt. And he also said, listen, I get called Uncle Tom. I never use that language. I don't call people Uncle Toms. And I'm sure some folks on Twitter have called him Uncle Tom or the M-word. You should see my feed, David. I am called all types. I've been called all types of language. It happens on
I've been called
media.
an N on Twitter. It happens.
Yeah, exactly. But so that happens. But what's funny about it is, no, Senator Tim Scott, you aren't an Uncle Tom. That's a disgrace to the character in Uncle Tom's Cabin. You are an embarrassment. You are a national embarrassment. You are not an Uncle Tom. I would never disgrace that character that way to call you that. But here he is on this stage. They're propping him up for a reason, lying about voter suppression. And, I'm not into partisan politics. I don't really care about Democrat or Republican. I always say that if it were 1870, I would be a Republican. That's where I would be. I'm going to go
It
to
was the
any party.
abolitionist party, right?
Exactly. I'm going to go to any party that will support the most vulnerable communities.
Right.
But Tim Scott is so loyal. He is so loyal to this Republican Party that he will dismiss racism. He will lie about the other side. And he knows that he can do it and it'll be respected in a different kind of way because, well, black guy is saying it. So I just think he is deeply disappointing. The way that he calls on his faith, he knows exactly what he's doing when he supported an adulterer, a historic liar, and a man who said that he never asked God for forgiveness, Trump. You supported him, including 80% of other white evangelicals. So I just found it disgusting. And lastly, I'll say this, David. I also think it's very dangerous because there is a long history of black folks who are upholding white supremacy and the kind of access that they get and the kind of ways they get in the door. Because if you say it in a black body, well, then it's really okay. Lindsey Graham says it and it's disgusting and vile. But Senator Tim Scott says it. Some people fall for the stunt and he knows what he's doing. He's a social climber. He's a political climber, much more dangerous than a Candace Owens or a Diamond and Silk. This is somebody who has power, who has voting power, and then acts like he cares. Well, I wrote this Justice Act that Democrats denied. It did nothing for qualified immunity. It did nothing for it, so that they should shut it down. So I was disgusted. He is an embarrassment, and he's quite dangerous in the way that Clarence Thomas is dangerous. Yeah, I was just mortified. But again, he's a political version of I'm not black, I'm OJ. David, go ahead.
So let me start with the low-hanging fruit here. You and I don't agree on the I'm not black, I'm OJ, only because I feel like that's undue criticism. I do agree with you that when you go out as a U.S. Senator giving your party's official response to the State of the Union and you talk about your own experiences, your own very garden variety experiences with racial
Garden
discrimination,
variety.
right? Being followed around in a store it's happened to me, it's happened to you. Being pulled over because you're black has happened to me, has happened to you. Then you are in a way playing the race card, and while you accuse other people of playing the race card. I think one of the most disappointing things about Senator Scott has been what you just said, that he has been Republicans' point person on police reform in the previous Congress. And he was like a shield protecting the entire rest of congressional Republicans from dealing with Democrats' George Floyd bill because they had a black senator out front saying, no, let's use this version. And it provided them a lot of cover. And the main sticking point, as you said, Clay, was the issue of qualified immunity. He has a chance in this Congress to negotiate in better faith with the Democrats, like Senator Booker, who he's worked with on a variety of legislation. I'm sorry, her name is not coming to me. The previous chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Congresswoman Karen Bass,
Yes.
who are the Democrats' point people on this. So we'll see what he does. But he was a disappointment in the previous Congress. I agree with you that Senator Scott, I think he has presidential ambitions. I think there are probably a lot of people in his party telling him he should run. And if Trump is not a candidate, I think he'll have a very successful run.
Oh yeah.
He's at that right age. He's about the same age as me. He's like 50, give or take. He has a national profile. He's from a deep red state with an early primary. He's well liked within his party. And even though he's not a never Trumper and he hasn't repudiated Trump, he's not a hardcore Trumper either. So he could go far depending on who else is in the field. I don't want to delve off into a side road here. On Laura Coates' show the other day, I made the point, I do think it'll be interesting to see someone try and mount a presidential campaign who's not married. I do think Americans like to see a family man or woman as a presidential candidate, but we'll leave that for 2023 and 2024. I don't like when people call people Toms or sellouts, et cetera, but I was disappointed to see Senator Scott give a speech that was all about reacting to Democrats instead of saying, okay, you heard what Democrats did. Now we're going to provide you an alternative. He didn't provide an alternative. He didn't look forward. He didn't have any optimism. He went on and on about saying how obsessed with race Democrats are. But to your point, President Biden, at least, is not obsessed with race. And then again, I'm going to bring it back to President Obama. The first Black president went out of his way not to make things racial. Oh, that's right. Shooting at Mother Emanuel Church, I'm going to show up at the memorial and sing a hymn.
Right.
Okay.
Amazing
right.
Grace.
You know, Congresswoman Gabby Giffords shot in Arizona. I'm going to come and try and bring the community together. Constantly, President Obama, as the first Black president, was trying to dial back the racial component of things as much as he could. There were situations like Trayvon Martin where it was inherently racial and he highlighted race, but that wasn't the norm. And yet Republicans, people that Senator Scott works with, and including Senator Scott, constantly accused Obama, now are accusing President Biden of being, you know, essentially race mongers. And it doesn't wear well because everybody watching can see that it's bullshit.
Yeah. And literally basically just lying, saying that they're saying this is a racist country. They're just not saying that. Now, mind you, there could be some people. I don't know if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has said that, who isn't a senator. I don't know if Ayanna Pressley has said that. I don't know if there's an exact quote of them saying it, but it's literally it's to see a Black man basically use Southern strategy tactics. And I think about the first two Black senators out of Mississippi, Hiram Revels and Blanche Bruce. They would, during Reconstruction, they have got to be rolling in their graves to see a Black Republican. I believe he was the 8th one, Black in general, not just Republican or Democrat, to become a U.S. senator. It's just deplorable. It's disrespectful to history. Right. It's rooted in lies. And then I want to also add, Senator Tim Scott, I think at one point he said, "Oh, you know, we have to find a way to communicate and work with people." He never goes on Black media. He will only go on Fox News. So if you care about Black folks in South Carolina, why don't you come to Urban View? You don't want to come here? Go to Roland Martin's show. You don't want to come here? Go to Joy-Ann Reid's show. Sit down with the Root. Sit down with the Griot. You never, ever, ever talk to Black media. So what does that mean? If you care so much, why don't you sit down and have a conversation with us? We all know why he won't, but that's just how disingenuous he is.
Right. Look, and just to go to your point, he has Black fans and supporters and admirers. He has Black staff. His chief of staff is a Black woman. He has other Black staff. I know his former press secretary very well, a gay Black Republican. He has Black admirers, but to your point, if you want to speak to and try and preach to the 85-90% of Black voters who don't vote for Republicans and don't support you, then you do need to come on the Clay Cane show and answer some questions and present your point of view in a way that, to your point again, Clay, is not disrespectful of history. I will say, and some listeners will agree and some will disagree, I don't think America is a racist country in the sense that I don't think America's defining characteristic is racism. But I also recognize, as any thinking person would, that America has a history going back to its founding of race being an important factor in how our country was formed and developed, and also that we have systemic racism today. And I think it's fine for Scott to go out there and say, look, I'm an optimist. This isn't a racist country. We've always improved. But I also acknowledge that there's a disparity in how people are policed, in wealth, in health outcomes, in education outcomes. So although I don't always agree with my Democratic colleagues, I understand the issues they're tackling. That would be a real presentation. But to go out there and complain, as someone who's been in Congress for over a decade, who was on the Charleston City Council, who has a successful business, to go out there and complain in your 10 minutes to rebut and just say, oh, woe is me, some progressives call me Tom or call me an N, you've forgotten the role you have there, right? Can you imagine President Obama or Vice President Harris going
If
out and
Obama
spending
said,
10
oh
minutes on that, it
oh
would be
my
absurd.
gosh.
Right.
If Vice President Kamala Harris talked about the horrible, disgusting vitriol that's come her way,
Right.
racist comments, the right would have a neurological breakdown. They
Yeah.
would just lose it. They would and she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't do that. I would say though, see, I do think America is the racist country, but I don't think we get so caught up in that word racist that we think, again, I always say this, we think when we hear the word racist, we think that means a Klan member and hanging somebody from a tree.
Right.
This country was built on racism, on capitalism, and let's be clear, on colonization.
Right.
That's just simply what it's built on. So therefore, the roots of it, it is a racist country. Have we progressed? Absolutely. That's one thing he said in there. They're acting like we haven't progressed. What the hell are you talking about?
No one's acting like we haven't progressed.
Yeah, all you saw with Joe Biden's inauguration was progress. Like that's ridiculous. But I do think we are a racist country. That does not mean that there is nothing good about this country. That doesn't mean that this country doesn't offer anything whatsoever. But we are. That's the blood of this country. But again, I'm saying that. Joe Biden isn't saying that.
Right.
Vice President Kamala Harris isn't saying that. Senator Cory Booker isn't saying
right.
That's
most
just me.
Black members of Congress aren't saying that. Right.
Right. Exactly. That's just me. My Black studies to the left progressive mindset. That's just how I feel. I have no political power whatsoever. They ain't listening to me. That's just how I feel, and I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong to make that kind of statement, but that's just how I feel. I want to go to the calls here. It appears we have a state rep from South Carolina on the line who happened to call in. State Rep Wendell Gilliard from South Carolina. Are you there, sir?
Yeah, I'm here.
Am I saying your last name right?
Yeah, Gilliard.
Gilliard. I'm sorry.
Gilliard.
Thank you. You're a state rep in South Carolina, the first-time caller. So you wanted to react to what your Senator Tim Scott said last night?
Yeah, it does not surprise me. He and I were, really raised up together in Charleston, South Carolina, and we tend to follow each other in politics. And I knew him. I know him quite well. Okay, and you have to understand, the more you guys, and not you, but that other gentleman, the more you guys give him a type of stature, okay, which he does not deserve. It's almost like he's saying that, look, it's okay to keep the killings with the young Black men a continuance. It's all right to kill them. Let's just stay the course in South Carolina with all the killings, all the Blacks being somewhat being put in a precarious position. We're getting ready to vote at the State House for this open carry law. And, I put all those things together. He's saying, let's move forward. Let's move forward with the vigilante type of attitude here in the South. And it's costing us. Nobody likes to call Tim down. And we need to hear more voices from Washington, because the people in South Carolina, look, and I'm talking what we would call our white brothers and sisters with common sense. They don't like Tim Scott's attitude nor his leadership, but they're afraid to step up. Now, you've got many Blacks here that's challenging Tim Scott, but we get stuffed out and pushed aside and tucked away like, hey, don't go there, NBC. Don't go there, CBS or whatever. See, it's always two sides to a story when it comes to South Carolina. Okay.
Let me ask you though. You said you've known Tim Scott for a long time, Senator Tim Scott. Do you believe he's sincere? Do you believe he really believes what he is saying, or is he just doing whatever he can do to pray that he'll be reelected in 2022? Do you believe that Senator Tim Scott is sincere?
No, he's pandering just for Tim Scott. He's not representing we the people. Okay.
But do you think he believes what he's saying? Do you think he's an opportunist, or does he sincerely believe what he's saying?
He's definitely an opportunist, and he doesn't give a damn what you or I, if Dr. King was living, might think about it. And let's get that straight. And anybody who goes up against him, they try to snub them out or shuffle them aside, which I could give a damn because I only fear God. But, you know, we need to step up to the plate. This, you know, and you're right. I heard you said early on, you talked to Governor Haley when she steps before the world. Oh, South Carolina is not prejudiced. Look at Tim Scott.
Right.
Oh, well, we're not racist in South Carolina. Look at Tim Scott. Well, Tim Scott ain't nothing but one damn person. People got to understand that. That don't justify a damn thing. Okay? Tim Scott don't count for the many, and he don't represent black people. Let's get that straight. It's all about Tim Scott and where the hell he wants to be. Okay? And when y'all play him up nationally, always get to the grassroots people. All right, I don't want to hear no more Tim Scott sad stories. That's good if his grandmama raised him, his mother raised him in a single family, but he has a father. Okay? Show the brother respect. Okay? We don't want to hear no more stories about how one white brother picked him from some chicken company and made him somebody. What the hell are we supposed to do? Go find chicken people, white brothers that own chicken places, and say, hey, do me like you did Tim Scott. Man, let's get off of this game. Okay? Too many people are
it's
dying.
so hard. I agree with you, and it's just so difficult because Senator Tim Scott has a significant amount of power. Go ahead,
Right.
David.
Yeah, so let me jump in here. And Senator Gilliard, let me say this. I defer to you on knowing what he's like as a person and in his heart. If you know him well, you come from the same state, you served in politics together in that state. I don't know him well. I met him once. I went to a press briefing at his office in 2015 about the LEAP Act. I don't know him personally, but not to defend him, and I don't think I've been defending him here, but I will just say, while you make a completely obvious and correct point that he doesn't represent most black voters, and I think it's very fair and easy to criticize him on police reform, on him, sort of giving Trump a pass, on the fact that he didn't join the Congressional Black Caucus when he got to Congress. The fact is that South Carolina is a very red Republican state, and Republican voters do like him, even if that means that it's mostly white voters who like him. I'm critical of Senator Scott, especially on his handling of the George Floyd Act, but Republicans like him. That's just a fact.
He's playing the game. I'll give you a final comment, Rep Gilliard. Am I saying it right, Gilliard?
Yes.
Okay,
I can
Gilliard.
attest to the fact that moderate Republicans, for the most part, it's the General Assembly up here, they don't like Tim Scott. They know he's not representing. But I criticize them for not stepping up publicly and making that statement, okay? This whole world and this whole state is not centered around one black man, okay? Let's get that straight. All this psychological crap that the Republicans play on us about, we'll take one black guy and we'll put him up on a pedestal and tell the world we're not prejudiced. When are we going to quit biting into that? Tim Scott is just one damn person, okay? Just like I am and you are. And we don't represent the many, but we're supposed to be in these positions to represent we the people, okay? And he's not doing that. He has carried Trump water too long and too far to get up there last night and make those statements like he did. He's a liar, and it's wrong, and we should call him down.
Oh, we are calling him down, but Rep Gilliard, what's sad is that him being a liar, him holding Trump's water, may be the formula to get him reelected. And that's what's very scary. I hear you. I definitely hear you. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And that's just where we are with our politics. And we all know, David, we know this, that if Tim Scott were even a moderate Democrat, a moderate a Democrat closer to being a conservative, even if he were a Joe Manchin kind of Democrat, Tim Scott couldn't get elected in South Carolina.
Probably not. And here's one thing where I think me, you, and Senator Gilliard would agree is that State Representative Gilliard, apologies. I bet Senator Scott does think that he's a moderate Republican. I mean, I'm sure he'd describe himself as a conservative, but I very seriously doubt that he thinks of himself as a hardcore Trumper. I think he sees himself in the meaty middle lane of the Republican Party, which is still very conservative or still very far right, I guess would be the right way to say it. I agree with Senator Gilliard that Senator Scott's presentation last night and some of his stances on issues are not representing the agenda of the vast majority of Black voters, but it is representing the agenda of the vast majority of Republican voters. That is who he was speaking to last night.
And being that Black Republican in the Senate, it helps him.
Yeah.
They love it. They put him out there, prop him up.
Right.
They love it.